Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon. It is noon Central Standard Time, and this is Sarah Green here on Creating Connection on ClearSource Radio. You're either tuned in at clearsourceradio.com or you're listening from out on the go because you downloaded our free app. I am excited about our show today. We are a radio station where people inspire people, and that's always the goal of our show. And one of the main themes that I like to do is to talk about people that have transformed their lives and made changes and really kind of made something of themselves or come from a dark place and turn things around for themselves. And so that's kind of where I specialize. And, I call my show Creating Connection because I want people to connect with my guests and to take little pearls of wisdom and kind of connect in and think about ways that they can change or shift their lives or make them a better place. As all of you know, I have now launched my book, so I wanted to talk about that for just a second. It is the Indigo Aztec Method. It's called Heal Your Feelings. It's a workbook primarily based for children, but I have had a couple of adults buy it. It's a very basic workbook about energy medicine and your feelings and the chakra system and where your emotions sit in your body. Along with, it teaches some hand motions on how to heal that in yourself. So Heal Your Feelings is available on my website, which is www.heartlightservices.com. It is also available on Amazon if you search either the Indigo Aztec Method or Heal Your Feelings. Price on the book is a mere $19.95, and if you want a signed copy for any reason, you are welcome to order from the website because that's the way to get a signed copy or a personalized copy. As always, the studio line is 817-380-4354. And we do have a guest today that's super knowledgeable, and so I hope that you guys will take time to call in and check in with us and find out, get your questions answered about fitness or nutrition, because this is an opportunity for you to do that without paying someone to do it. So take advantage of it. My guest today is Kelsea Kinrai. She is a NGA Figure Pro competitor and a new mommy, and has really, shifted her life and come from a place of, I think she would admit, kind of a beach town party girl to having her own business and training and guiding people. And she's recently given birth to her little boy. What's he, 2.5 months old now, Kelsea?
Yeah, I'll be 3 months on Saturday.
Golly. Okay. So, and it's been interesting, because I follow your Instagram, which we'll give a shout out to that. Is it under Team Pro Science?
Yeah, Team Pro Science.
Okay. I've watched that, and the way that you kind of went through your pregnancy and as being someone that is so fit and is a figure competitor. And I know you got, a lot of flack for continuing to lift while you were pregnant. And so I want to talk about that today, but I kind of want to talk about, I kind of want to go back to teenage years, college, kind of being a party girl, and then where the shift happened. Just kind of tell your story about to getting to this place where you're super, you're on the stage and you're competing and you're spending hours in the gym and you really have transformed not only your body but your life. So share that with me if you would.
Okay. Well, I guess it's kind of a long story, but I guess we can start back. I would say probably a lot of my partying started pretty young. I would say just when I started high school, when I was like 14 or 15, I just started kind of hanging out with some different people and really just getting involved in some stuff that I had never been involved in, and that led to sneaking out and, drugs and alcohol and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And just hanging out with a lot of older people, which I've kind of always done for whatever reason. And then when I was 16, I moved to Florida with my mom and my little brother. And it was kind of supposed to be like a new start for all of us. My mom admittedly had a rough time too. And that was, growing up, I saw a lot of that, like, her partying and stuff like that. So that's just what I did. Mm-hmm. And So Florida was kind of going to be a new start for all of us, and we moved here, and it didn't take me very long to kind of get involved in the party scene here. And basically, I continued to hang out with people. I moved here. That was my junior year of high school. I continued to hang out with people that were not in high school anymore, just a lot of drinking, missing school, things like that. And then I decided after I graduated high school, I had never planned to go to college because I was somebody who went from loving school and being very smart to somebody that hated it just because I enjoyed partying more, I think. And I decided that I should probably go to college. So I moved to Gainesville, Florida. And with University of Florida being there, it's a pretty big party city. So it's very easy to just continue to fall back into something when you continue to put yourself around the same kind of people. Mm-hmm. And it's more accepted when you're in a place like that. You know, it's just everybody's partying. So I tended to just justify everything. It was like, oh, I'm 18 and I'm just having fun. But I was, you know, drinking a lot of nights out of the week. There was more nights that I drank, but the nights that I didn't, and, you know, there was drugs involved, and I was not really going to school. I missed a lot of classes, you know, in college too. And I ended up actually going to jail twice while I was in Gainesville.
And how old were you at that time?
The first time I went to jail, I was 19, I believe, and the second time I was 20. Mm-hmm. I was only there for not even 2 years. Okay. So, the second time I went to jail, it was I got a DUI, and, you know, I'm surprised that it took that long, honestly, because I was quite a binge drinker. That was my thing. It wasn't like I drink often, but I also drank to the point of just complete, like, stupor. So after that second arrest, I decided it was probably a good idea for me to move back home with my mom because that situation and being in that town was not really working out. So I moved back home. Again, another new start. I was living with my mom and got an insurance job working at just a front desk, and was pretty normal for a little bit, and then, you know, slowly slipped back into the partying. I think more so when I got on my feet and got my own place. I was living by myself, and so then I started partying again, and then I started bartending again, which is something I had done in Gainesville as well. So I was back in the bar scene, and things pretty quickly escalated from there. And I ended up going to jail again, and this time it was a DUI and a felony drug charge. So that was pretty scary. And after I got out of jail,
I remember you said, I'm sorry, it's so easy to, like, in this format to interrupt, but I know that we've talked a little bit about this, and I know, and it's something that, because I have a lot of parents that listen to my show, and it stuck with me for years. I remember you said something about when you had gone to jail one of the times, and I think it was this third time, that your parents left you there.
Yeah, my parents left me. My parents never bailed me out. Any of the 3 times I went to jail, I was never bailed out by my parents. I called my parents, I think, only the first 2 times, and they were like, you put yourself there, you get yourself out. So the third time I didn't even bother. So it was always a friend, or the third time it was my current boyfriend that bailed me out. Mm-hmm. But the third time I went to jail, I actually woke up and I didn't know how I got there. And I was in actually the medical part of the jail because I had threatened to kill myself. And I remember sitting there, and I was talking to these people that were in the cell with me, and I was in there with 2 women who had committed murder, another attempted murder, a girl that tried to kill her kids. It was brutal, and another girl going through withdrawals. So I sat there and I was like, if I don't change, I'm going to die. So that was really a big turning point for me. And after I got out of jail, I remember going home and I sat on my bed by myself, and I remember crying, not because of everything that had just happened, but crying because I knew that my life was going to change, but I knew it was going to be the hardest thing that I ever did, because I was going to lose everybody that I thought was a friend, because I was so involved in, you know, the partying and the bar industry and all that kind of stuff. So that was the big turning point for me. I knew that obviously what I was doing wasn't working. You know, I continued, no matter the city, no matter the state, I continued to put myself in the same positions. And so I knew that I had to change everything about everything that I was doing. Luckily, here in Florida, there is a program called Drug Court. And I had a friend who was in it at the time. And basically what I did is I signed up. I was able to get into drug court because I was facing jail time, and I was able to get into drug court instead of that. And basically this is a program that I had to go to meetings and I had to see a therapist. I obviously was drug tested, and, you know, it was, they require you to stay sober for the entire year of the program. I ended up doing really well. I actually graduated from the program early, but I wanted to continue my sobriety. So I actually did a whole year without any alcohol, which was pretty crazy because I was actually still bartending through the whole year. And I went to meetings, and I also started cognitive thinking therapy. And I kind of dealt with a lot of things that I think, you know, anytime somebody's having issues, it's always coming from a different place. There's always a root issue that needs to be addressed, and that addressing those root issues is something that people tend to sweep under the rug or walk away from. And so it was time for me to deal with that kind of stuff. And the cognitive thinking therapy was really cool for me because I learned why I was doing certain things and kind of how to think differently, kind of how to slow down my thought process and really evaluate what I was doing before I acted on certain things. So basically I spent a year just kind of figuring out who I was and what I was doing. And towards the end of that year, I signed up on Match.com, and I ended up meeting my current husband, Eric, and he was a trainer at a gym. I had started going to a gym with a friend of mine who I thought, you know, was always in shape, and I was like, take me with you to the gym. So my priority was to fix my inside first, and once I felt a little better about myself, then I was like, okay, let me work on the outside because I had gotten pretty heavy. So I started going to the gym, and then I started talking to Eric on Match.com, and it was actually coincidence that the gym I was going to, he actually worked at, and so we ended up seeing each other for the first time before we knew that it was each other.
Wow.
So there was like we had some back and forth messages, and I had actually sent him a message asking him about what he did, and then gone to the gym that day, seen him, and then gotten a message that day or the next day, and he told me where he worked, and then he was like, I remembered his eyes, and he remembered his new tattoo that I had gotten. So that was pretty funny. And then I spent a few months kind of chasing him because he was very busy, and then, you know, we started dating, and he actually started taking me to the gym with him. And really, he was a personal trainer for a lot of years, so he started training me. And he had gotten into powerlifting, and so that is what I started lifting. And lifting weights was it was a whole new world for me. I'd never played sports. I'm very uncoordinated. I'm not athletic whatsoever. So that was very interesting and very frustrating for Eric to try to teach me things, but he didn't give up on me, and that was really cool. So it was a new feeling that I got, something about being able to get stronger and have that progress in the gym was very satisfying to me. So I stuck with that, and I did my first powerlifting meet in 2012, and I've done, I believe, 8 meets. And then I decided I wanted to compete in figure, too, to kind of see what the other side, the bodybuilding side, was like. And so I did my first season in 2013 and won my pro card there. I competed in some drug-tested.
For people that don't know, and because I want to talk about, the drug-tested stuff where you're natural and you're not using steroids, because there's a misconception about that. And I want to talk about what it means to be a figure competitor, because some people don't know, what are they looking for? What does that mean? And then what's the preparation to get ready for that?
So there is NPC and the IFBB. Basically, NPC is like the IFBB's daughter or son. The IFBB is where you compete in the NPC, and then once you win your pro card there, then you're an IFBB pro, and then you compete on the IFBB stage. That is not drug tested, and I think that's what a lot of people look at when they see these huge guys that are it's not like something that you regularly see, or, women that look a little more masculine. Usually you can tell, like, in the jawline or obviously by their voice. Depending on what drugs people are taking, it alters a lot of things. So I never had any desire to get involved in that side. I think because the biggest thing in my head was always like, if I did something, whether it be on the powerlifting or the figure side, was it me or was it the drugs? And, I'm to each their own. Everybody's entitled to make their own choices. That's just a personal choice that I made. So I compete in drug-tested powerlifting for the USAPL, and then I also compete in drug-tested figure shows. Okay. And in figure, so there's different categories. Obviously, there's bodybuilding, physique, figure, bikini. Bikini is more like what you'd see, like, I guess, at a bar is kind of how I think of it. Just girls in bikinis kind of shaking their hips back and forth. I'm not a huge fan of bikini, but again, each their own. Figure I always liked because it's, in my opinion, a little classier. And it's all about your shape. So you're looking for an hourglass shape and your symmetry. So you want, your top half to be as big as your bottom half with a small waist, a wider back, and so that's pretty much what they look for there. But at the end of the day, it is just people judging people, and I think that the issue a lot of people have, including myself, with any sort of bodybuilding show is that, we are people, and when you're judging, which I have judged bodybuilding shows as well, your eyes are kind of drawn to certain people, and it's really kind of a personal preference thing. So regardless of what the rule book may say, it's not always the case. And, there was shows that I competed in that I feel like I should have placed better, and other people feel like I should have placed better, and then other people feel like I got the correct placing. So that's kind of why I prefer powerlifting, actually, because there is a set of rules that have to be followed. And while powerlifting isn't always 100%, it's either, you complete the list and it's done correctly by the rules, or you don't. Whereas in bodybuilding, it's okay, well, we're kind of blurred. The lines are a little more blurred there.
Okay. Interesting.
So,
okay.
So that's kind of my competition history. I did my last figure season last year. I competed on the pro stage. I did 4 different shows, and it was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed the journey, and, dieting is not, luckily, that hard for me. There's always hard times, but, the way that I do my nutrition is maybe a little different than some people do their competition nutrition. And then my last show was in July, and then I was pregnant in September, and I had Cameron on June 3rd. So he will be he'll be 3 months on Saturday, so he's 12 weeks now.
Okay, and so talk about, because like I said, I know I saw you on Instagram, and And then I want to talk about too, because I always like celebrate women in business, and so I want to talk about your journey being pregnant and going through a pregnancy and choosing to still lift. And I saw all of the social media drama around that. And, I thought that was really fascinating and interesting. And, so kind of talk to me about that and your decision to kind of keep lifting and tell this, and you got all the flack about it, but you were doing it under a doctor's supervision and you'd done it for years. So it wasn't like you just all of a sudden decided to start picking up 350 pounds.
Right.
And people said some really ridiculous
stuff. That was exactly it is, I, like anything else, if you really love something, I love lifting weights. You're going to kind of find a way to make it work. And for me, it was something that I did a lot of research on prior to getting pregnant. It's pretty funny because it just shows you how different our country is, because in other countries, there was a lot of powerlifting, women in powerlifting that were posting them lifting while pregnant. And so I started following some of these other accounts, and then there was also another female coach, Vanessa Gale, who I started following, and her little girl is, I think, like 3 or 4 months older than Cameron. So I got to follow all these people and just kind of watch, along with just, reading about it. And really the issue with lifting and pregnancy is there's not a lot of information out there. So I have, I would say, a decent social media following, and I am the type of person that if I can, do something good with that, I'm going to. And it was kind of my goal to post what I was doing regardless of the judgment that I was going to receive, because I think it's very important at this point in powerlifting. There are a lot of women in the sport. It's huge, and it's growing bigger every day. And women are going to get pregnant. So, women think that they just have to stop lifting. And really the truth is, if your body is used to something, and a lot of it too, I really believe, is your intuition. When you're carrying a child, it's your only goal is to protect that child. So I was able to obviously balance the two, and I did get a lot of shit for it, unfortunately. But it also brought a lot of people to light, and I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten about people this is so amazing to see. And people did the same thing with me, that they watched all the way through my pregnancy and saw that, I had a relatively easy delivery and a very healthy baby. So, and my doctor knew I was lifting as well. And so it's just it was really important to me to, instead of, posting less and just keeping lifting, to really share that with people, because I knew that, somebody out there is okay, you can't lift while you're pregnant. And they see the whole story of me, and it's okay, maybe I can do this. And, I would answer questions for people and things like that as well. So it was, I made smart choices. There was days that I didn't feel great, that I would back off. I wasn't lifting. I think a lot of people don't realize too, because a lot of people didn't follow me prior, and they would just see this video of a pregnant girl lifting, and they don't know the numbers that I was lifting before. So to them, they see something that's oh, that's heavy, but it wasn't heavy to me. So
right.
It's people don't know any better.
You took the amount down. I mean, you weren't still lifting what you were lifting in the beginning. You kind of self-adjusted throughout the process and kind of followed your gut and followed.
Pretty much the further along that I got, the lighter it was. Mm-hmm. And there was days that I felt great, and there was days that I didn't. And I use kind of what we call RPE, and it's basically a scale that you judge based on how things are feeling. So it's a scale of 1 to 10, and a 10 would be a max effort lift. A 9 would be okay, you can get 1 or 2 more reps. An 8 would be 2 or 3 more reps. So I tried to keep stuff it was like nothing over RP9 in the beginning, and then I went to like a 7 or 8 and there were some days that I was like, I don't really feel like lifting, so I would just go and do something, even if it was just like some dumbbell work or something like that, because I knew that I would always feel better, and I always did after too.
Right, right. And then how was I'm assuming, because it's not super common at this point, or at least, super saturated, that you were probably the only client that your OB had that was lifting. And were you the only one that your doctor had ever had? And how did your doctor kind of handle that and follow that?
So basically, when I went in for my first appointment, it was, I think because I explained my situation to her, I said, listen, I'm a power lifter. I own a powerlifting gym with my husband. This is what I've done, and I plan on continuing to lift. The only thing she said to me was, just don't hurt your back. She didn't give me specific guidelines. My doctor is really cool. She's a younger female, and she's actually in shape. So I think that she gave me a little more credit, like I wasn't going to make any stupid decisions. Anytime that I went in or saw her or any one of the other doctors in the office, everybody was very they would compliment me. One of the nurses was like, oh wow, you must work out a lot, when she was like feeling my stomach because she felt like my oblique muscles and stuff like that. So that was really cool. And I, told her, I'm like, oh yeah, I just squatted this morning or whatever. And I actually squatted the morning before I went to the hospital, which was pretty funny. But it wasn't something that, was we didn't go into a lot of detail. It was I'm still lifting. Everything looks good. I was seeing her regularly. Baby's healthy. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I think, staying active obviously helps. I gained 35 pounds and I've lost 25 of that already. So, I think just having that as a habit and continuing to go to the gym, and do anything, was really beneficial for a lot of reasons. And I think beyond all the physical stuff, there's a lot of mental things that people don't talk about in pregnancy. And I think that too, being that I work in the fitness industry, it was really hard for me, to be working in the fitness industry and be an heavy girl and watch the scale go up, and in the back of your mind, you're like, this is what I have to do. I have to gain weight. But it's weight gain is seen as bad in every light. So there was definitely some struggles there. So me being able to stay active, I think really helped a lot of that too.
Yeah, talk about that, because I know, that you're, a lot of people have misconceptions about people that do what you do, that they're super fanatical and that they're super whatever. And one of the things that I've noticed about you is you appear to be pretty reasonable, I mean, as far as when you're advising your clients and what you talk about in the way that you eat. And it's pretty, what I gather from your social media and from watching you and from listening to you speak is things, it's don't be an idiot.
Basically.
That's kind of what you is, don't be an idiot. So, and it sounds like with your pregnancy, you just weren't an idiot. You kept your body active, you kept moving. You didn't use it as a time to kind of lay on the couch and gain excessive weight. And having, with my background, I went to midwifery school and I did a lot of births, and I attended a lot of births, and I worked with a lot of pregnant women. I've seen the difference between my clients that were active and that were sedentary, and it appears from my completely uneducated, well, not uneducated, but it appeared from my experience that, people that were more active and people that were more fit did tend to kind of have an easier birth, easier recovery time. They had, and really, one of the things that I noticed was better self-esteem. They felt better about themselves because they were moving their bodies and they were whatever, and they weren't, What was it like for you? Because, you went from the year before, winning a pro card and being a figure competitor and all of this. So what was it like for you to be, 38 weeks pregnant, when we all feel so huge and ungainly, and Did you feel that way, or so what was?
You know what's funny is I actually, by the time I was like really pregnant, I was fine. Because the hardest part for me was the beginning part, because I was gaining weight, but I didn't actually look pregnant yet. Like, I didn't actually have like a pregnant like belly. Like, people didn't notice that I was pregnant until I was like 30 weeks or close to 30 weeks. So it was like, that's a long time. 30 weeks is a long time of like a somewhat steady weight gain. And you're just like, okay, so once I was really pregnant, I was like, okay, there's a baby in there. It's fine. People know that there's a baby in there. But it was like in the beginning that was really hard for me, because watching the scale rise and basically my body, your body changes so much. Obviously, you know this. Your body, it's not, you don't just like grow a belly and that's it. Like, everything changes. Like, your hips get bigger, you have more cellulite. And I was like, this is something, like, I was so used to seeing my body a certain way that it really took a long time for me to be okay with just like, okay, this is temporary. Like, and I have a friend that lives in Austin. Her name is Ryan. And she was a really, really big help to me throughout the process, because having her and then having Eric, who, he's my husband, but he's also my best friend. So I feel really comfortable telling him anything, so that when there was days that I'm like, I feel disgusting. And he was just like, you're beautiful, you're carrying a child. And between him and Ryan, and she's just like, it's part of the process. Like, you're doing great. And sometimes it doesn't matter that, I am a fitness professional and that, I help counsel people. Sometimes I need it myself too. So it's like having them really helped. And along with being active, I can't tell you how many times that I woke up and I was like, okay, I feel terrible. And I went to the gym and it made me feel so much better. But it was definitely more of a struggle in the beginning, just to be, because it was like, okay, I'm just getting fat until I actually looked pregnant. So that was the hard part for me. But once I kind of am like, okay, it really like settled in that I was like making a human. And then of course, when you have them, you're like, I don't even care. Like, I can't even believe that my body just did that. And now it's just like, I have so much more respect for my body than I ever had. It's like, I have days that I'm like, ooh, I'm still not really like happy, but I think it's okay to like not be like so content that you're just like, okay, well, this is good enough. Like, for me, it's like I can always get better. And I'm not, I am breastfeeding, so it's not like I could just hop on the diet train and just drop, 20 pounds overnight. So that was my priority, obviously, especially in the first couple of months. So it's a challenge with the body image and the pregnancy, and I hold myself to such a high standard because of my job. And, Eric and I always talk about leading by example. So it was very important to me to be very real with my story. And I hate when people portray on social media something that isn't real, because everybody struggles. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how great your life is. Everybody struggles. Everybody has days where they don't feel great about themselves. Everybody's going to have hard times that they go through. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, no matter, how great your life is. So it was very important for me to kind of take everybody through that, because I don't want to ever make people feel like everything's perfect, because it's not realistic. Like, you have to just, okay, I'm dealing with this right now, and this is what I'm going to do.
And I think that we have all these, you stand in the checkout line and it's like, so-and-so lost her baby weight in 12 weeks. And, how
and it's not real.
It's just, and it's not real. I mean, these are, I guess there are people who are, celebrities or whatever, and they have, trainers live in their house, and they have nannies, and they have, superfood chefs, and so it's like that can be
right.
I guess that's possible, but I love what you're saying about, again, it's don't be an idiot. I mean, there's a goal and there's a place to get, and you're going to get there. But what's more important to you is to make sure that you maintain a milk supply for your child and that you're healthy and that you're sharing with others
Right.
so that they don't feel held to an unreasonable standard. And I'll tell you, I was sitting on the couch with my 14-year-old son the other day, and he's, bigger than me. He's probably 5'9", 180 pounds. He's this big kid. And I looked at him the other day and said the same thing. I was like, I grew you in my body. So even when you're, you have big kids or whatever, you're looking at me like, oh, wow. It never goes away. That feeling of like, holy cow, like I made a person in my body.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing. Like each
And I
eyelash,
think that just like trumps everything.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, I cannot believe, like I look at his little features and I'm like, oh my God, like it's a human. Like all the parts of a human. Like you have like a brain and you have eyeballs and you have ears and you have like all the human stuff, and it grew inside my body.
Yeah. So talk to me about, because I own a business, I have an energy medicine practice working with children and family outside of being a radio show host. And then I just signed up to be a CASA advocate too. So I'm adding a third or fourth or fifth job, and I'm launching a nonprofit. I started that process this week. So what's that, 6? I don't even know. Anyway, so I'm always super...
all the things.
All the things. I like to do all the things. But I always, am so supportive of other women that are in business, especially, and men that are in business too. But men are expected to go get businesses. And in our culture, women aren't always supposed to, expected to be entrepreneurs. So talk to me about Team Pro Science and your business, and kind of, obviously you met Eric and you got really into the fitness thing, and then you decided to be a personal trainer too, and then you developed your business. So talk to me about how that, kind of the process of putting that together, some of the ups and downs of creating your business, and then tell me about like if somebody wants to be your client, because I know you coach people like all over, so you don't have to have someone right there in town. You're able to distance coach. Talk to me about how you do that too, and what it's like to be your client through Team Pro Science.
Okay, so Team Pro Science, I started in 2013. I actually started it because I started personal training in 2011? 2011, yeah. And a lot of people had followed my weight loss journey, and I just got so many messages from people, what are you doing, asking my advice, things like that. And I wasn't really aware, like I didn't know much about online coaching, but it was something that Eric had an online coach for his bodybuilding prep. And he had told me about that, and he's like, you really just need to just bite the bullet and just do it. And I was so scared, because anytime you've, never done something before, it's scary. But I did have confidence, because I worked my way up the ranks. I think that a lot of people now get into online coaching and they don't do any sort of hands-on personal training, working with people one-on-one prior. And I think that that's shitty, because you should have to start at the bottom, no matter really what the job is. And that's kind of what it is. I mean, I was making like $7 a session at my first job. It was, and seeing like 40 clients, and it's really not a great job at all. But because I had that many clients, and because I was, forced to think on my feet and, do these quick sessions with people, and I worked with, men and women, and I had young women, and I had older men, and I had, there's a lot of older people in Sarasota. I had like an 80-year-old lady. Her name was Bernice, and she was hilarious.
I love it.
So it's like I got to work with all these different kinds of people. So it was like, okay, I have that background, and then I have all these people, and it was just like, it started to consume a little more time than I had, just answering people's questions. And I'm like, I'm telling all these people, and Eric's like, that's a job. What you're doing is a job, so you need to just do online coaching. So he really pushed me into it. So I was like, okay. So I started Team Pro Science, and, I started off, I did have like some people that I coach for free online, because I feel like, again, like, it's like an internship kind of thing. Like, you need to make sure that you can do it, and you need to, like, work out the kinks and stuff like that. And even now, you know, like, however many, 3 years later, it's not perfect, and I still learn. So, basically, I coach people all over the world. I have, you know, a couple clients in Australia right now. I have people, a girl in the United Kingdom. So it's pretty cool. And then I have a bunch of people all over the U.S., of course. I have a Canadian, or a couple Canadians.
So, and do those people, like, do they, like, buy a package from you, or is there, like, a monthly subscription? Like, if I were to hire you and say, okay, I want you to train me or whatever, what would be my process?
So basically what happens is I have a website that people go to, and there's the email there, or it's on, like, my Instagram too. You email, and I have an assistant, Melissa, who takes excellent care of me, and she's a big help. And what she does is she will set up a consultation, and that I do consultations through Skype. This is something I started doing later on because it's very important for me to obviously be honest with people, and I don't want somebody to come up and sign up with me and then say, this is my goal, and maybe like, okay, well, I can't do that. So I started doing consultations so I can kind of get to know the person. We can see each other face to face, which is cool. And I just kind of ask, you know, what are your goals? What are you looking for? You know, and there's plenty of times that I'm like, okay, what you're saying is not realistic. This is maybe more realistic goal, things like that. So we just get to talk back and forth. I get to learn about them, what they're looking for, and then, you know, if they want to sign up, I have different packages. Some people do just nutrition. Some people do nutrition and then workout programming as well. And then everybody that works with me checks in every week on a set check-in day. So you have your set check-in day, and then you send me some documents that, you know, where you're tracking your food and your weight. Oh, wow. There's a tropical storm in Florida right now, so that's fun. So they send me that stuff every week, and then I provide them feedback, any changes we need, things like that. And then also I have a Facebook group that everybody is in, which is really cool because a lot of the girls, you know, if somebody's signs up that's near somebody else or somebody's traveling, people will meet up and they'll work out together. And then obviously I've been able to travel a lot and been able to coach people in person at powerlifting meets and things like that. So, but yeah, I decided to only coach women. I actually recently started to get back in. I've had some inquiries from men, so I think I'll probably start doing that too, just not have them a part of the Facebook group because it's kind of cool to have just women in there because girls talk about like all the gross stuff that guys don't want to hear about. Yeah, and it's more comfortable for them too. Right. So, but yeah, so they I do the Skype consultation, and then people sign up, and you know, some people pay monthly, some people pay for like a few months in advance and things like that. So there's some different package options there.
Wow. And then you're able to do what everybody's dream is, and that's kind of what I'm shifting into with my life, which is you're able to be at home with your child, and you're able to do what you love doing, you know, just help people transform and make their lives a better place. And you get to do it with your best friend, your husband, alongside. So it's really, you know, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is really awesome.
And for me, because of what I do, you know, and I sit around and I have people that come to me a lot of times and they're stuck in their lives, or they're stuck with their families, or they're just kind of in a rut. And it's always, you know, I'm always saying, man, you have to, you know, if you have to get rid of what's not working for you and create space for amazing things to show up.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. You got rid of what wasn't working for you. You know, you got rid of the relationships and the friendships and, you know, changed your people, places, and things that you were doing and made space, and look what you were brought. You know, look what you were brought.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What are some of the things that you see people do, you know, as a coach? You know, we all have these, you know, okay, well, I'm going to get in shape, and I'm going to, you know, people hire you, and they, you know, and at that point, when somebody's put their money in it, they're usually pretty motivated at that point. It's not like they're just saying they're going to, you know, get in front of YouTube and do a yoga video or something. So they're usually at that point pretty motivated. Where are the places where people they mess up, or where are like where they, as a coach, when you see, you're like, oh man, because you want your clients to succeed.
Right.
Where are the places where you're like, oh man, I wish they wouldn't do that? Where you just know that somebody's about to trip themselves up or self-sabotage. What are some of the triggers for people, or the places where people maybe set themselves up for failure, or where they don't succeed, and you can kind of see it coming?
I think that a big thing, like it's so different from person to person, and I've dealt with so many women and been able to see so many different things, and the biggest thing that is common is just self-confidence. When women or people in general, when they go into something and they're like, okay, I'm going to do this, at some point, the people that fail, it's because they don't believe that they deserve it. And, some people may disagree with me on that. There's sometimes some other factors, there's eating disorders and things like that. But again, that's all stemming from somewhere else. The biggest thing, though, is going to be self-confidence, because people can pay me all day, and I always tell my clients, I'm like, I can give you the tools all day. I can tell you to do this and how to fix that and what to do with this, but you have to do it. And some people are lazy, honestly, and it's not like, if you are overweight, you did that to yourself. So now you're going to have to undo it, and that's going to take some work, and some people just aren't willing to put in that work. And, people do these fad diets that, they're dieting for 5 days and starving themselves, and then they eat everything and gain it all back. And it's just a back and forth cycle, and it really forms a bad relationship with food, too, which is another big problem, is people don't have good relationship with food. I love food, and I travel, and I eat crazy food, and I am able to do all that, and, I never feel guilty after, no matter what I eat. And that's a big thing for women too, is, just associating certain foods and, oh, that's a bad food and that's a good food. But as far as people setting themselves up for failure, it always stems from something else. You're never going to be successful in something that you believe you can't be successful in. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what I do is kind of, just reassuring people, if you want to do this, you have to do it. I will be here, and I will be here to support you, and I believe that you can do this, but you are going to have to do it. And,
right.
I can't tell you how many times that I've referred people to therapy, because, it's a lot of stuff that people are dealing with that's out of my league. But it's just, it really all does come back to the self-confidence, because women don't feel good about themselves generally, sadly. And in order to get to that place, once you're in a place where you feel good about yourself, despite what you look like, mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It's like somebody can come to me and, okay, I'm 200 pounds. I want to be 150 pounds, because then I'll love myself. You don't love yourself at 200 pounds, you're not going to love yourself at 150. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what I do is kind of like, okay, let's work on the inside a little bit here, because the way that you're talking about yourself, people will send me progress pictures with their check-ins and say, oh, this is gross, or oh my God, these are embarrassing, whatever. And I'm like, okay, now every time you send progress pictures, you have to compliment something on yourself. So it's really changing your mindset and how you're looking at yourself and how you're treating yourself, because you can fill yourself with, delicious foods, and you can work out all day, but if you're not doing so good on the inside, you're really not going to probably be very successful on the outside.
I love that, because that's something that I do in my practice, which is really helping people focus on the positive and focus on what they do want. Because mm-hmm. With what I do, our thoughts and our feelings and our words, they carry energy, and they carry weight, and they carry a vibration. And so what we put out in those arenas is that's where we're vibrating, and that's kind of what we're where we're focusing, and that's kind of what we're calling in for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is huge. Do you find too, because one thing that I find sometimes, in my practice is that when people start doing well for themselves, when people start, succeeding, or sometimes it seems like there's this herd mentality where where some of the herd's like, oh no, but come back and be like us. Come back. We don't want you to succeed or whatever, because that's disrupting the herd. Do you see that in your clients when they start getting fit, that there are people in their lives sometimes that or they start really making these good progress, that they have people around them that will try to sabotage or will try to hold them back?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, pretty much, I would say like a very large portion of my clients, that's one, like a struggle that I see from somebody. Oh, I went to a family member's house and they were telling me, they made this food and they were telling me that just kept trying to feed me, or, like people's grandparents. That's people's parents and grandparents are usually an issue because they don't understand. And, it's like, oh, you look fine. So why do you not need to eat half of my cake that I just made for you? And then they, make people feel guilty. But there's, there's the parents and grandparents, and they simply just don't understand it. And that's when I tell people, I'm like, okay, what you have to do with that person is you have to sit them down and tell them, explain it to them, because they don't understand. And once, a lot of times when people sit down and they say, this is important to me, these are what my goals are, this is like how I'm eating, and I need you to support me in that, then they have to respect you, because it's like, okay, you made it, you created some boundaries there, which is huge. And, then there's other people who they have jealousy issues and self-confidence issues in themselves. And so they're like, oh, well, that person's doing really good, so I don't like that because I'm not doing good. So I need to bring them back. I need to bring them over here with me. So here, eat this with me. Oh, please eat this with me. Or, oh, I made you this. Or, you don't have to go to the gym today. Let's go do this instead, or whatever it may be. Those kind of people, that's usually people. And I hate to tell people, to distance themselves from somebody, especially if it's a close friend or family, but people that are not going to support you when you're trying to do something that you really want, or something that's going to benefit you for the future. A lot of people that I work with a lot of competitors, but a lot of people I work with are just like people that are overweight, that, want to not be overweight. And anybody that doesn't support that's going to be something beneficial long-term for you to feel better and for your health is not somebody that you really need to have in your life.
Yeah. So, if somebody is, I have, I think, we talk about self-confidence or whatever, and my sister jokingly says to me, she's like, you think you look awesome even when you don't. Like, I'm super comfortable in my body, and I'm super in this great place or whatever. But I also, I go to yoga and I run, but when I feel like my body needs it, and sometimes I take a month off, and I also eat ice cream, but I've always been able to kind of, balance that out. And so I feel like, I'm like, hey, I'm in a healthy place, like with my exercise routine and my food or whatever, and I'm average sized, and I'm, I can run a 5K if I need to run so I'm like, okay, I'm 41, I'm feeling pretty good. Where is, in your opinion, I know there's all different, there are people that are morbidly obese that are on the couch and that are eating, 30,000 calories a day. And then there are people who are spending 8 hours a day in the gym, and they're, doing steroids. And so there's opposite ends of the spectrum. From your perspective as a fitness professional, when do you feel like somebody's in a pretty good place?
I would say it's different from person to person, because everybody, I think a big thing, and this is what I hate about the fitness industry, is the lack of balance. You have to, every person has their own balance. So like for you, for instance, you are active and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you eat healthier and sometimes you don't, but you feel good and you're, you're doing the things that you need to do daily and you're in good health and things like that, but you feel balanced.
Right.
So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's people that tend to try to overcompensate by spending, 8 million hours in the gym, and then they ignore their families.
Mm-hmm.
That is not balanced. It doesn't matter that you look great, and you may feel great looking at yourself in the mirror, but you're making your kids feel like shit because you're ignoring them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say there's no like perfect balance. It's not like, okay, 1 hour in the gym, and there's no perfect. It's going to be different from person to person.
So it's really about people being in balance. People feeling like I'm eating what I feel like is a, and our bodies know. We know. We know.
For sure.
I know. I'll be like, all right, that's enough cheeseburgers. It's time to, make a salad.
Right, right.
So we know.
Like Eric and I always say when we go on vacation, we always, still go to the gym when we're on vacation, but we eat some crazy stuff. We eat very calorically dense stuff. It's like, we always say, like when we're on vacation, we abuse our bodies. But the other time when we're home, we're not doing that. Mm-hmm. So again, that's just being balanced, and everybody's balance is going to be a little bit different, like I said. But yeah, there's always extreme cases. It's not good for you to not be active at all, and it's not good for you to be active to the point where other things in your life are getting ignored.
Okay. And so if people want to look into you or find you online, or want to talk to you about coaching, or interested in kind of more about what you do, how do they find you?
They can go to my website. It's www.teamproscience.com. No spaces, no slashes, anything like that. And there's an email on there to contact me. And pretty simple.
And you have an Instagram, which is there's a lot of cute pictures of a really cute baby right now. And you have kind of a cute husband, and then you're kind of cute. So you guys are just all cute. So your Instagram is Team Pro Science, right?
Yeah, right. Team Pro Science, and there's a lot of, baby pictures, dog pictures, and then there's also some
Batman,
some fitness stuff.
Yeah, and I want to also give a shout out to your husband Eric, because he has an Instagram powered by ice cream. And he's a nut, and he's, controversial, and he gets a lot of flack, and there's always a lot of internet drama. But he does food reviews of all kinds of crazy food, and ice cream reviews, and it's always a good time to kind of follow Eric and see what he's doing, because it's there's like never a dull moment on that Instagram page. So. Okay, so you're
he's fun. He definitely. It's been pretty funny because I was the one with the followers and things like that, and he just started. We were actually just discussing this, how much more popular he's gotten, like just by being himself. And it's great for him because he loves it, and he loves interacting with people. And a lot of like Instagrams that have like a lot of followers, you're not going to get much of a response, but he's very interactive with people, and he loves it. He loves food, and he loves I think he loves to be on camera too. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kelsey Kenry with Team Pro Science. Thank you to everyone out there that tuned in today at clearsourceradio.com or on the app. I am here every Wednesday at noon Central Standard Time. The show is replayed throughout the day on the app. There's always something interesting to listen to. Tonight, I encourage you to tune into Sterling Day's show, Evolve, Grow, Renew. That is at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. She's got world-renowned medium psychic Courtney Beck on the show tonight, and Courtney and Sterling are my sister girls, and you need to listen in and call in with your questions, because they are brilliant and accurate and have all kinds of interesting information to share with us. Thanks again, Kelsey. You have a wonderful afternoon, and I will be posting also a replay of the show on my YouTube channel. So you can find me at heartlightservices.com, or you can search Heartlight Services on YouTube to look for past shows and listen to the replays there. Thanks a bunch, Kelsey.
All right, thanks.
I appreciate you. Bye.